You're trying to get the attention of the room, but nobody seems to be listening. What do? Do you A, start speaking louder, B, get the attention of those next to you, or C, start hushing those around you? The answer is none of the above. All you have to do is get quiet and start looking people in the eye to tell them that you have something to say. Being magnetic is not about forcing things to happen. It's about attracting everything around you. Being magnetic is about getting the things you want without trying. And today I will go over the mindset shift that made me get into that headspace. Hi, I'm Michael, I'm a student at Brown University, and welcome back to my channel. The first step that I took to become magnetic was to reevaluate my life goals and pursuits. To attract those around me, I had to reevaluate what I was doing with my life and put a plan into action of what I wanted to become. In other words, I started looking at what I was doing and cutting off the stuff that I wasn't actually interested in. I had to identify my values. So in high school, I was doing so many different activities that were very academically rigorous, but that were not necessarily something that I enjoyed. And I would pursue these activities just because they looked good on some sort of application or resume. But doing these activities is literally just a waste of my own time. I could have been pursuing hobbies that I was actually interested in and that I actually had a passion for, rather than doing something to look good for myself or others. And Manson talked about this in his book, The Subtle Art. To become a person who didn't give a damn, I had to literally reprioritize my values and reevaluate what I was doing with my life. And once I understood what I actually cared about and what I actually cared about pursuing and prioritizing with my time, that's when I realized that I could become much more confident in what I was doing, because there was a whole purpose behind it, rather than just looking good for others. Also, the things that I now value in life are things that I can fully control. If I value something based on the outcome, such as what this competition will reward me, or what I'm going to get by applying to this specific place, and it becomes a rejection, putting my value based entirely on that outcome is the worst mistake I could have made in the past. I place my values on things that I prioritize and things that I can change. Because if I place my values on things that others people say or other institutions say, I'm simply going to get rejected sometimes, and it's going to hurt much deeper than if I was simply doing something that I could change for myself. Because I cannot change the path that led somebody to reject me, but I can change the path of my own actions and see results from my own actions. After I readjusted my values, I just stopped caring about other things that didn't really matter to me, and that made me become a much more confident person, because I was pursuing things that I enjoyed and that I wanted to pursue, and everything else that I used to place so much emphasis on was no longer affecting my mind or taking up mental capacity. And in identifying my values, I started understanding what I was passionate about, and I came to pursue these passions fearlessly. In other words, I pursue these passions without fear of what other people would think of me or what they would say. For example, starting a social media account like a YouTube channel. It's something that many people are scared to do because of the spotlight effect, and I was so worried about what people would think. But once I went through with it, I realized that nobody really cares, and it's only myself that I have to pursue my goals and my ambitions and my passions that will lead me to do things that I enjoy doing and give me more purpose in my life besides doing stuff that simply look good to others. Because the vast majority of people, like 99.99%, do not know what they are doing with their life. They simply have an idea of it laid out in their brain because that is what is going to keep them sane. People who act like they have it figured out do not have it figured out. And I can say for myself that there are so many things that I'm working on. But in general, everybody puts up a facade. So I identified some passions: music, reading. It can go along the lines of sports, self-improvement. Anything that makes me excited to go do that thing is something that I'm passionate about. So if you're watching, take out a piece of paper and a pencil and write down everything that you can think of that you are passionate about, and ask yourself, am I doing enough of this? Because every time I do something that I do not enjoy simply because it looks good, I'm just taking all my energy into something and wasting it. So once I reevaluate my life goals and purpose and I start directing my energy towards that, that is when the process of being magnetic begins. Part 2 of being magnetic was redirecting my energy. I imagine every single human is having a bubble of energy going around them, and that every single time we are trying to put energy into something, we are pushing the energy away from us. But being magnetic is about doing the polar opposite. It's about putting the energy into myself and then having everything be attracted to me through the power of magnetism. And the idea of putting energy and focus into myself goes along the lines of positive affirmations and making sure that I understand that I'm able to do anything that I want. If I say to myself every day that I am a master guitar player and I put the effort in to become a master guitar player, I'm going to have those two things work together to make me become more confident in myself, in addition to pushing me to pursue that passion every single day. And it is when I understand that I can become a master guitar player and that I play guitar every day that the energy is directed toward myself and the skills start flowing much more easily to myself because I believe in myself. So to improve my own skill sets, I direct my energy into myself and put myself on a pedestal rather than trying to put other people on a pedestal. And then I put all my energy into the passion that I'm pursuing. And whenever I'm stuck or I feel that I have a negative mindset, I like to look back at the goals that I've accomplished and what I'm looking to accomplish and reaffirm to myself that I am successful and that I've already accomplished so much. And this is also what good friends do. If I'm ever in a negative mind state or I'm feeling down about the things that I'm going through, then a lot of the times they're there for me to affirm that I've already accomplished so much and that I can be successful in what I am pursuing. But it's also so important that I have my own confidence in myself to pursue whatever I want to. So once this energy is directed entirely toward myself and pursuing what I want to pursue, I also find that it reflects in my life in general. So I exercise, I eat healthier, I get enough sleep, I smile, I walk outside more. All of these things are focusing energy on myself, and then it shows to the world that I am focusing the energy on myself, and that inherently attracts everything around me. So understanding the basics of magnetism, if I want to get the attention of the room, I don't put energy forth to try to get the attention of people. All I do is sit in silence, and I swear it works so well. Sometimes other people even help to get the attention of other people so that they can hear what I have to say. And I make sure that what I have to say is important. If I'm restricted and I'm not being given what I think I deserve, I just don't give the energy forth into that ideal. And if I'm ever in a case where somebody's interrupting me or I'm not in an environment where I feel respected or wanted, I simply leave the environment because I respect myself enough to understand that if I'm not wanted there, that I shouldn't be there and that I have better things to do with my time than to be in an environment where I'm simply not wanted. To advance my magnetism, I went on to the next step of destroying my fear of rejection. And this is entirely a work in progress. I'm not the type of person that's not scared of anything. Obviously, I have a fear of rejection and a fear of conflict, but I've advanced to a level where my fear of rejection and my fear of conflict is much less than it was in the previous year. I obviously still get fear about how I would be perceived if I asked someone some random question, or how I am perceived by others in general. But the idea behind it is to understand the fear and then to go ahead and do the action anyway. And once I started doing that, that is when my fear levels started drastically decreasing. I would say when I did something that I was scared of, it cut down by about half every time. But I have to make sure to keep doing it consistently for that fear to go away. We are biologically wired to worry about what other people think about us. Because if we think about our ancestors, if they were going in a tribe, if I was hated by everybody in the tribe, then obviously I wouldn't be able to survive for very long. But if I looked at the leader of the tribe, for example, they would not be worried as much about what people think about them. So when I took on the idea of not being scared of what other people thought about me, it is literally simulating what the leader in a tribe in ancient times would act like. So I like to think about that in terms of analyzing why I should care less about what other people think. So all I had to do was start acting like a leader. And then that inherently attracted those around me because of the confidence I had in myself. I want you to write down one thing that you were scared of doing and couldn't do. And I want you to think about why you didn't do it. What was stopping you? What fear? And after that fear is written down, I want you to go and take action despite the fear the next time a similar situation occurs. That is the only way I found that I could go against my fear. Simply by exposing myself to what I'm scared of. That first step was so difficult for me. But then after that step was done, it was so much easier from there because the first step is always the hardest. So if I had crippling social anxiety, I would make it a goal to go up to one stranger per day and participate in small talk. It is goals like these that allow us to destroy fear even though we may face a little of it every single time. Also, with the idea of rejection and fear of rejection, what I learned is the best course of action is to not take rejection as a personal attack. Rejection is such a bad word because it literally says that we do not belong, that we are not allowed, that we are unworthy. Rejection is not about being unworthy. A lot of the times rejection isn't directly personal. It is some sort of incentive to change something about us, or it's simply the circumstances of the other person who is giving the rejection. Nobody likes to be rejected and nobody likes to give rejections. But if I was a businessman and I was constantly rejected by every single person that I went up to, I would reevaluate what I was doing because at that point, all of those rejections signal something that must be changed. So I would understand, maybe my skill set isn't good. Maybe I'm dressed up too formally. So many things can be changed and so many things can be reevaluated, and it's all based on the rejection that makes me understand what I can do differently with my life and how I can improve myself. But rejection, again, is not a discussion of one's worthiness. Rejection is simply often a direction to point as to where I can improve myself. And once I saw rejection like that, it became so much less scary. The fourth step I took to become more magnetic was to focus wholeheartedly on anything that I was doing. A book by Newport called Deep Work describes the best way to work and do very difficult tasks. And the best way to do so is to work alone, uninterrupted, without distraction for hours at a time. Because when I'm working for such long periods of time, there's no distraction and I'm working wholeheartedly on one task. I do not have any residual information on other tasks going through my brain. So whenever I'm working on an assignment, I like to go and finish the whole assignment in one go, unless it's a much longer assignment. Then I divide it into smaller tasks that are more manageable to me. But working on one task and completing it is the best thing that I can do for my brain. Because when I'm trying to do multiple things at once, like I read an email and I can't answer it yet, that email is in the back of my mind while I'm doing every single other task that I'm doing for that day, even if I'm not consciously thinking about it. So I need to put my full focus into doing whatever I want to do. That's why I don't like to check emails multiple times per day. I like to check them, archive them when I'm done with them, and then my inbox is empty. And focus also applies for social interactions. If I'm invited to a social gathering or I'm hanging out with somebody, I don't like to go on my phone at all. I really try not to take it out, because a social gathering is something that's so underrated, and spending time with people is so underappreciated in this day and age. I think going on my phone during any social interaction is one of the worst things that I can do, because it shows that I'm not interested in the other person and that I'm not caring. I saw this tip online that said that you should only show 50% of eye contact when the other person is speaking and 75% of eye contact when you are talking, because what you have to say is more important. And that is completely false. If I were to act like that, I swear people would think I was the most disrespectful person ever. When I talk with people, I put my full attention into the conversation and I make eye contact the entire time. I'm not trying to indicate that anybody is more important in an interaction. I'm simply putting my full attention into whatever the conversation is, and that has helped me to become more magnetic and to make the conversation more interesting. In the past, I found that conversation was boring, but then I made an effort to understand the depth of conversation and how fun it could be if I just asked random questions, or if I brought up something interesting, or I started playing a guessing game about whatever a person was talking about. Putting my full attention into any social interaction I'm in has made all of these interactions way more enjoyable than they would have been if I had been stuck on my phone, because I can be on my phone any other time of the day. I also became more magnetic when I learned to become more confident. So be sure to check out my playlist on confidence to learn the steps that I took. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell, and I'll see you next time.